Hi, my name is Emery Songer. I'm here with William Penn men's basketball coach, John Henry. Coach, thanks for joining us here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's talk about William Penn University basketball. You bump up to D1 in NAIA last year, which is a different challenge after several years of successful runs in Division II. And it was a very successful year. You guys make the national tournament. You win the tournament on the Heart of America Athletic Conference in your first year in the conference, a great conference. And then you make the Elite Eight and lose to one of the teams that made it to the championship game, a very good Georgetown team. Well, take us through that last year and how you were able to make that transition so seamlessly from D2 up to D1.
It was a fantastic year, going 29-6, winning the regular season Heart and the Heart tournament, and then, like you said, advancing to the Elite Eight. It was actually set up a year in advance. Coach Sandquist is our head recruiter, and I can't take much of the credit. He put together a recruiting class the year before that we brought in at Christmas. We had 10 kids that we brought in and redshirted them, knowing that they were Division I type players at the NAIA level. 8 of them ended up staying or making it, however you would like to say that. And they had a great year, led by Stephen Roundtree and Brady Burford, both being All-Americans. It was a fun ride. We learned a lot. Anytime you join a new conference, you're traveling to all new places other than Grandview. After 14, 15 years in the MCC, we had our restaurants and places and rituals and traditions when we went to St. Ambrose or wherever, Viterbo, and we had to start all over. Fayette, Missouri, and a couple of trips to Kansas and places like that, Graceland, Culver Stockton. We'd never been to these places before, so it was a very much of a learning experience, one that was successful. And as I said the other night after our game, I said, when you're learning like that, it's better to learn while winning than learn while losing. So it was a fun ride.
Well, so far so good in this year 2 of the Heart and Division I, and one of the main key cogs in the last year's successful run was Jarvis Haywood, who joined midway through the season, and this year he's been one of your cornerstones. He's going to be one of your leading scorers no matter how you slice it. Yeah, a big and Torin Jones, who's he's a NCAA Division I type athlete. Kevin Smith is back from last year. You had a sharpshooter like Corbin Medley, who comes off the bench. Charles Knowles is back. You got some guys here. Nick Jeffries from Altoona, he's back in the rotation after being a part of the last couple of years. So
Lionel Ellison is a key cog as well.
I mean, we're talking about so many different guys here. This isn't just a 2 or 3 man show. Even though you have a couple of All-Americans from last year, you're going to have probably a couple this year too. But it's going to be 9 or 10 guys that effectively, are going to be a key part of this team. You have, 6 guys who are averaging double figures in the early going. Take us through how this team kind of got together, and it seems like you even have, if it's possible, a few more versatile pieces this year than you did last year.
Well, Torin obviously is a freak athlete, probably the best athlete as far as running and jumping and body and all that stuff that I've ever had, and that's saying a lot because I've had some guys.
Oh, you have.
Brady Burford was a guy, and Danny Lund was a guy, and I could list 20 others, but I've never had a guy with this type of size, skill that runs the way he does. And again, that's not to take away from Roundtree and Burford and all those guys, but if I had to pick just athleticism, he'd probably be the best. And he can do so much, and so much attention of the other team's scout team is on him that it leaves a lot of other people open. It leaves a lot of other people that could be number 1 options on a lot of other teams as a 2nd, 3rd, or even 5th option. We were talking off air how you enjoy Corbin. Corbin's probably a first-team all-conference player on a lot of other teams, and he's standing wide open a lot. And that's just Torin just takes a lot of pressure off everybody else. I love our backcourt. Kevin Smith's speed. Lionel Ellison is a two-way player that does a lot of things that don't always stick out on the stat sheet.
And he tries to dunk on people's heads.
He's an amazing jumping jack. Yeah, he actually won, I think it's the Southland Conference track high jump as a freshman at Northwestern State, and decided he didn't want to do track anymore. I mean, who does that? Jarvis Haywood probably should lead the conference in scoring, maybe even the nation in scoring. He was a All-American, preseason All-American in Sporting News, him and Torin both. They've both followed through with their early expectations.
Okay, so we talk about the personnel here, but culture-wise, one thing that William Penn has done over your tenure, especially the last 6 or 7 years, is win a lot of basketball games. One other thing is you can't quite figure out who those guys are, who are going to be your. Every team needs those leaders. Sometimes it doesn't work that way for a lot of guys. You have a lot of guys that want to be that guy, and it's hard to manage. What do you expect that kind of adventure to be this year with so many good players?
Well, we've kind of turned in the last couple of years into a lot of one-year transfers. And, that's not necessarily the way I want to do it, but that's the way it's just worked out the last couple of years. We couldn't pass up on some of these guys. It's nice to have kids like Nick Jeffries that have been here for 3-4 years, sometimes 5 years with some guys, but we haven't been able to pass up these guys. They're exceptional players, and if they're only going to be here for 1 year, that's another challenge of trying to get everybody to fit together. And normally it takes until just about Thanksgiving or Christmas. Well, we don't have that luxury anymore when you start playing conference games in November. My wife actually asked me the other day, she's like, how come you're turning the ball over so much? It's hard to watch. And I said, well, we turn the ball over so much because we're supposed to be tuning up right now, and we're not. We're actually playing conference games that matter. And we've started 2-0 in the conference this year, and it's hard to get excited because you have 24 more to go. We're playing 26 conference games. Nobody in the country, not on any level, plays this many conference games. It's very hard to imagine keeping conference intensity for the next 3.5 months. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I like where this team has gotten to at this point of meshing. They get along well. They're good teammates to one another. For the most part, they're accepting roles, learning, and doing well. I'm enjoying myself.
Well, I'm enjoying myself when I go to William Penn basketball games. So last question here, Coach. Early part of the season so far. Take us through what your expectations were before these games started. And I know you're only 1/16 of the way through your season, but where you expected to be after the first handful of games where you're at now, is that about where you're at?
If you'd have told me that we'd be 4-0, 2-0 in the league, and averaging 107 points a game, and
second in the nation,
and our winning margin, I think, is 26 points, I'd have been pleased. I could lie to you and give you all the coach speak of we're a work in progress and all that. That's all true too, but I'm pretty pleased with where we are right now. Also, as a coach, I'm weary of this could go any way at any time, but I'm happy today. I'll just say that.
Coach, we'll be checking in with you several times throughout the season, but congrats on a good start thus far. We're excited to follow up with this team later on this season.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. We will, of course, have this interview, several interviews with Coach Henry and other coaches, not only from William Penn, but high schools from around the Oskaloosa area. You can go to our YouTube page, MZN. You can also go to our Facebook page, Mahaska Zone Network. For everyone at the Mahaska Zone Network, I'm Emery Songer.